Most people look at Aemond Targaryen in House of the Dragon and see the ultimate success story of a bullied kid who glowed up. I mean, he went from the weak, dragonless punchline of the family to the most dangerous man in Westeros, riding the nuclear equivalent of a dragon. But they are entirely wrong. Aemond isn't a badass, he's a walking psychological trap. And his story is the perfect example of why using spite and anger to level up your life will almost always end up destroying you. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of overcompensation, why his revenge glow-up was destined to fail, and how a concept from high-risk finance explains the exact moment he accidentally started a massive war. Okay, so to understand Aemond, we have to go back to the Pink Dread incident. You know the one. He's a kid, he's surrounded by his older brother Aegon and his nephews who all have their dragons, and they hand him a pig with fake wings. Look, we've all been humiliated, right? But for Aemond, this wasn't just kids being cruel. In the Targaryen family, a dragon is your literal worth. Without one, you are defenseless. You are nothing. So at that moment, a massive psychological wound is formed. He feels fundamentally powerless. And here is where psychology comes in. Alfred Adler, a famous psychotherapist, coined the concept of an inferiority complex. Adler said that when we feel deeply inferior, we do one of two things. We either collapse and become a victim, or we overcompensate. We build a massive psychological fortress to make sure no one can ever hurt us again. Aemond chose the fortress. He dedicates his entire life to becoming untouchable. He studies history, he trains relentlessly with Criston Cole to become a lethal swordsman, and, he eventually claims Vhagar, the largest, most terrifying dragon in the world. He loses an eye doing it, but to him, that was a cheap price to pay. He essentially traded his physical eye to blind everyone else to his insecurities. But here's the open loop I want you to keep in the back of your mind. Building a fortress doesn't actually heal the wound inside it. We'll see exactly how that backfires on him in a few minutes. Because on the outside, Aemond looks like he has it all together. He's the enemy villain. He's disciplined, he's competent. He looks at his older brother Aegon, who's basically just drowning in wine and terrible decisions, and Aemond thinks, I am better than him. I should be the king. And yeah, on paper, he is better. But Aemond's entire identity is a fake. It's a trauma response wearing really cool leather armor. He didn't build his skills out of a genuine desire for excellence or leadership. He built them out of pure, unadulterated spite. This brings us to a massive trap in the modern self-improvement space. You see it all the time online, right? The revenge glow-up. Someone gets dumped, or they get fired, or they get bullied, and they use that dark energy to hit the gym, start a business, and grind 18 hours a day. And real quick, if you're the kind of person who actually likes deep psychological breakdowns instead of just standard movie recaps, take half a second to hit subscribe. It genuinely helps. All right, back to the trap. Look, spite is a highly effective fuel. It will absolutely get you off the couch. It will make you train harder than anyone else. Aemond used spite to become a top-tier warrior. But spite is like putting rocket fuel in a Honda Civic. It makes you go incredibly fast for a short period, but eventually it melts the engine. When you build your entire life to prove your haters wrong, you're still letting your haters control your life. Your ego remains incredibly fragile because your self-worth is entirely dependent on making sure other people see you as a winner. And we see this exact fragility crack wide open during the dinner scene in Season 1. Think about it. Aemond is a grown man now. He's the most dangerous fighter in the room. He literally controls a flying weapon of mass destruction. He has won. He should be completely unbothered. But then, a pig is placed on the table, and his nephew, Lucerys, the kid who took his eye years ago, just kind of snickers. It's a tiny, almost invisible moment of disrespect. But how does Aemond react? He completely loses his mind. He stands up, he starts throwing thinly veiled insults, calling them strong boys, which is a treasonous accusation of them being bastards, and he nearly starts a brawl in front of the king. Why? Because despite all his training, despite Vhagar, despite the swordsmanship, emotionally, Aemond is still that little boy holding the pink pig. His competence leveled up, but his emotional regulation never did. If you are using anger or trauma to build your life, you need to hear this. You can build $1 million business, you can get the perfect body, but if you don't heal the core insecurity driving you, your emotions will hijack your logic the second someone triggers that old wound. You will self-sabotage your own success just to protect your fragile ego. Aemond claiming Vhagar wasn't just a boy getting a pet. Aemond acquired the ultimate high-yield, high-risk asset. He took on massive leverage. Vhagar gave Aemond power that he did not intrinsically earn. Yes, he was brave to claim her, but the sheer destructive force of Vhagar is entirely disproportionate to Aemond's actual emotional maturity. So let's look at Shipbreaker Bay. Aemond chases Lucerys on his dragon. Now, strategically, this is a terrible move. The realm is on the brink of war. They are trying to secure alliances, and murdering a royal envoy is an act of war that his side is not fully prepared for yet. But Aemond isn't thinking strategically. He isn't managing his risk. His old childhood wound has been triggered. He wants to bully the kid who bullied him. He wants to scare him. He is trading entirely on emotion. He pushes his massive leverage asset, Vhagar, into a highly volatile market. I mean, a literal storm. And what happens? The asset acts on its own. Lucerys' smaller dragon, Arax, breathes fire in Vhagar's face, and Vhagar, who is a hardened war veteran, goes into combat mode. Aemond starts screaming, "No, no, serve me!" But it's too late. Vhagar snaps Lucerys and Arax out of the sky. Look at Aemond's face in that moment. That is not the face of a cold-blooded killer. That is the face of a day trader who just realized his emotional, spite-driven trade just triggered a margin call that wiped out his entire family's wealth. He didn't want to start the war, he just wanted to feel powerful. But because he lacked the internal emotional discipline to control the external power he acquired, he destroyed everything. So what is the actual lesson here for us? Whether you are building wealth, building a business, or just trying to improve yourself, you cannot out-achieve your own emotional trauma. You can acquire all the leverage in the world. You can get the promotion, the viral fame, the massive loan to start your company. But if the person holding that power is still a scared, insecure kid trying to prove their bullies wrong, you will eventually lose control of the very thing you built. Aemond Targaryen is a tragedy. He did the hard work, he built the discipline, but he built his entire castle on a foundation of unhealed spite. And when the storm came, the castle didn't protect him, it crushed him. If you want to acquire high-leverage assets in your own life, you have to spend just as much time managing your mind and your emotions as you do managing your money and your skills. Fix the foundation first, stop trying to prove them wrong, and start trying to build something that actually lasts. So Aemond's problem was that his unhealed ego completely destroyed his assets. He was too arrogant. But what if you're sabotaging your bank account right now because you're trying to be the good guy? If you've ever felt guilty for making money, you have the exact same psychological wiring as Spider-Man, and I break down exactly how to fix it in this video right here. Oh, and one last thing. If you made it this far, consider dropping a like on the video. I'm a very small channel, and hitting that like button actually tells the algorithm that this was worth watching. Thanks for your time.